Good morning, everybody. Enter the stars. Welcome to the show. Apparently, this is a much anticipated show, and we're going to get into this. But first, what is in shadow? Well, let's let this catch up first. It looks like we're already got some technical stuff going on here. Just said error at first, but apparently maybe it's working now. We're just going to go ahead and continue on. What is in shadow? It's a modern odyssey. Now, this came out in 2017, and they label this as a visionary journey through the fragmented, unconscious shadow of the modern world. Now, what I thought was interesting is this number 17, and of course, 17 alphanumerically is the letter Q. But there's more to this, because the release date of November 17th just so happens to be the 321st day of the year. 3, 2, 1, almost like a countdown, with 44 days remaining until the end of the year. Now, all of those numbers are significant, and also the fact that in a leap year, November 17th falls on 3/22, skull and bones. So let's get into this unbelievable 13-minute short animated film. I called it iPetGo 3 because it mimics many of the messages that we see in iPetGo 3, and it is an animated film. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to make this full screen. Now, hopefully we don't get a copyright for this, so we're going to just try to go with this as is. Now, I turned the sound off because it's just a soundtrack, and we really don't need to hear the music portion of this. Now, I've got this at half speed, and I'm doing this at half speed on purpose because we can pick up lots and lots of symbolism by looking at things in half speed. Obviously, that's some kind of like a drop of water divides into three droplets, the 1, 2, the 3, 13. Okay, so that fits into the 13 minutes. Now, we also know that March 13th, Friday the 13th, is when the national emergency was declared by Donald Trump. And I'm not saying that that fits into this, but that number 13, the very unlucky number, and the fact that many people just seem to want to overlook that, knowing what we know about all of this, is just shocking. It's like the walking zombies, the walking sleeping. Now, we're going through some kind of a wormhole. Of course, there's the iris, right? So we all know about the iris and the gate, the narrow gate. This is 2017. We had already discovered the narrow gate through the eye. The eye is the womb. The eye is also the world. If you're not sure about that, look into our Body Code series. So obviously that's being repeated here. The eye is an analogy for the womb. The iris is the cervix. There's the cube. We're born into the cube prison. The cube prison. That's what we're born into. And that's what they're showing us here. And look, they've got the world in the cube. That's interesting. Now, I did watch like maybe half of this. There's your convex lens Earth. Wow. Everything we've been talking about on this channel. The convex lens Earth with the cities of the world atop it, locked in the cube. All of our buildings are cube shaped. It reinforces the cube prison and mechanism of control. So this is in shadow. Now, I didn't do any show prep for this because I wanted this to be spontaneous. I have some thoughts and ideas from the things that I did see. But one thing I noticed is that you saw there that the in shadow was actually, it's got an I in the middle of the O there. So that's kind of like reinforces the I. Now this to me looks like one of the towers, right? That breaks off at the top there. Maybe like a capstone type effect. Reddish type of pyramid on the top. Could be like a capstone. These are shadowed figures worshiping the cube. And this is really what this is about, you guys. This is what these people worship. The cube is a folded cross. That's what it really is. It is a folded cross. When you unfold a cube, it becomes a cross. When you bind the cross, it comes back into a cube. And they wish to bind mankind in the cube. And this is Antichrist. This is why a cross is an unfolded cube. Now, these people obviously are not hearing. Why are they not hearing? Because it's noise. We're constantly bombarded by this noise. Look at this. They got the knee on the neck. Oh, no, that's the guy sitting on his neck. Same thing. This whole FLOYD incident was all about symbolism, about how they control us. They've got a knee on the neck, or they're sitting on our necks. This would be your house mortgage. Remember all the stuff we've talked about your house mortgage basically being a burden? You don't want to mortgage a house, ever. It is the worst thing you can do because it becomes your ball and chain. You can't move when you want to. Yeah, people say, well, I could sell my house. Not really. You're at the mercy of the market. And there's your car. People holding on to material possessions. Now this part, with their heads detached from the body, basically means we're disconnected, is what I can imagine is what it means. You're going to see also prominently featured here lots of electronics featured that are basically our mirrors into the black realm. And it's interesting because I'm going to be remastering all of the Westworld videos that we've done. And I'm going to put them all together in one video. I got about 4 hours of footage. I'll try to streamline it down into like an hour. We'll re-upload that. I hope that works out. And the reason why I bring up Westworld is because in that series, these robots, their pineal hard drive, I guess you could call it, it's accessed in the middle of the brain in the pineal position, and it's like this ball. It's a ball, and it's in the middle of the brain, and they access it through the top of their head, much like you would see like in the Terminator series, where he opens up the head, and then they access the hard drive. Okay, that's our pineal gland, the center of the brain. That is the seat of our spirit, our connection to God is where that sits, and they know it. And the time goes by, and we're all locked in our careers, but we're upside down. No heart in the middle of that chest there, is there? There's no heart. We're heartless. And look at this, masks. This is starting to make all the sense in the world, isn't it? Masks. We all have our masks, but we're empty behind the masks. Why? Because we are all under mind control. This also reminds me of the wall that we did. Remember? These are the same masks that were in Pink Floyd's The Wall, right? So here we have another prophetic foreshadowing of the whole Floyd incident, right? Pink Floyd, The Wall. And we had decoded that, of course. The film, The Wall. And we're all just roving about. Pills, alcohol, sex, all behind our masks. Now, these masks could also represent our profile, right? What we want people to see of who we are. You know, it's your digital identity instead of your true identity. There's the child. Now, this is one part. They depict the chakras here. Look, I'm not a chakra believer. I believe that's the spine, and that's the serpent, and that's the other way that they try to get to the spirit. There's only one way to the Father, and that is through Jesus. So I don't subscribe to chakras. but it is depicted here in this animation. Wow, and you also notice, this is something I didn't anticipate. Notice it's pink. Notice the pink adrenochrome, adrenaline, epinephrine. Those are all the same word, by the way. And this is what they're depicting surrounding the child, because this is their energy source. The energy source of the elite is youth, right? Of course, those are VC needles. Look at that. That would be forceps. So birth, but also termination, all occurs with these forceps, right? This is how they remove the child from the womb. And then they brainwash you through education. And of course, these Freemasonic skull caps that you get when you graduate from college, right? I posted a picture of myself. I graduated from college. I'm holding my girl, my little girl, Devin, and I was wearing one of these, right? Because of course I was fast asleep. But then now that I'm awake, I realize, look, this is crazy, because what this is your Masonic graduation, right? Because you have a square and you have a compass. Where's the compass, Casey? Well, it's the little round part that goes right on top of your head, right? That becomes the compass. So you actually graduate into their construct, their framework of reality, right? Which keeps you locked in their cube. They don't ever teach you how to get rich like they do. All of that's kept a secret. You're just trained to go to work, go to have a career. And then maybe one day down the line, after you've gotten all the way to the top, after sacrificing your entire life, then maybe we'll let you be a CEO of a company. But it really never works that way. There's a glass ceiling. The people that become the CEOs are the people that they want to become CEOs, who continue to allow them to maintain control. So this is very telling. What's this stuff coming out of the top of his head? More adrenochrome references. So you've got yellow, you've got green, and you've got the adrenochrome. So the yellow would be like Christ. The green would be like the serpent. Okay. So these colors are symbolic. And the purple is like the adrenochrome. So we're all headless zombies, right? We're detached. Lemmings, pills, pharmaceutical society. No one can find their balance, because their balance is connected to the pharmaceuticals that they're taking. And basically, we're just all zombies, and we can never find our true center or true peace, because we're dependent on all these things. So this would be obviously a boy who is a gamer, right? And then the gamer turns him into, and he's on all of the meds for attention deficit disorder, and that automatically turns him into a soldier. A super soldier, I believe, is probably what they're depicting here. And he's just stacking caskets. That's what they do. It's all about money. This is the bankers. Banker wars, right? Piles of skulls. Fallen angels. And they use black people. This might be like the Oprah character. They use us so that they can help to push their agenda. Okay? This is just what they do. Now this is very I Pet Goat-esque right here, with these strings, puppet strings holding the politicians. We saw this in the opening of I Pet Goat 2. And the mouthpiece, that would be like a mouthpiece. And they're all being controlled by someone behind the veil. And we never know who those people are. All we hear and see are the mouthpieces, right? And they're just spitting garbage. Look, they're all pristine and nice clothes on, but they're all controlled by the elite. Let's let this play through for a little bit as we talk through this. Okay, so that would probably be like Beyonce. That's the first impression I got when watching this part. And of course, there's a controller. There's always a controller behind these people. And they're being worshipped. Worshipped. They're on a leash. They're being worshipped. and they're controlling, and this would be like an action film here, and then in turn they control us. So that's how the elite control us, through media entertainment. They put forth these idols that we worship. That would be an Oscar that he's holding right there. It's a director, and he's being controlled by someone else. See this? All right. Cube. They worship the cube. But there's no heart. They've stolen our hearts. Right, passing right through. And electronic devices, of course. Now, I'm going to spend a minute on this part right here, because these electronic devices are very sinister. They are crystal balls. Make no mistake. Now, I've heard the word scrying mirror used before, and that's also true. But really what these are crystal balls. They're a new technology of seeing into the past, present, and future. And that's exactly what you can do with one of these. Imagine a cell phone dropped into 300, 200 years ago, or 100 years ago even, and someone pulled this up and could pull up the past, present, and science fiction futures, and imagine that that future looked very real. Even though it was fiction, it looked very real because of the special effects and all this. You would think you were looking at a crystal ball. Crystal balls require complete 100% darkness in order to work. That's why you see these fortune tellers and things staring into these crystal balls in complete darkness, and the light emanates from the ball. Well, these screens on these electronic devices, your laptop, your television, your tablets, they all require complete darkness, because they work off of what's called an RGB profile, color profile, red, blue, and green. And on your screen are red, blue, and green. Every pixel has a red, blue, green. Okay, so it's split into 3. Every pixel on your screen. And whichever one of those colors turns on with a relation to the color next to it, that shows you the actual palette that you are seeing on your screen. In fact, this very screen you're looking at right now is operating in this fashion. And so what happens is, that is the technology. It requires complete darkness. And that's why you'll look at like screensavers. Your screensavers are almost always a darker screen, because it requires the least amount of power for your monitor. You would think that white would be the least amount of power, but no. When white is on, all 3 colors are turned on. So when your screen is completely white, all 3 colors are turned on every pixel, red, blue, and green, to create the white screen. You see how this works? So in that color model, it is a color model based on darkness. Interesting, right? Let's keep going. More masks. Pineals ripped from their heads. They've already lost their pineals. They were already sucked out of their brain earlier in this animated film, as we saw. Hearts ripped out, turned into black goo. This would be like the black DNA. There's our messaging apps. We're always messaging. We don't really communicate with each other. We just message. Okay, so this would be first-person shooter game. Look at this. Whoa, did you see that little boy down there? That was crazy. I missed that part first time. Look at the little boy down there. Just everybody's sick. And they're just, everything's going on around them. The harmed children of the world. And all we can do is care about entertainment. This would represent all of the children of the world that are harmed. And all we care about is our video games and popcorn and our couch. Unbelievable. And here they are at like a coffee shop. And they're having their coffee, but they're all on their phones. Selfie movement. What's up with this? The oil behind them being pumped out as they're taking a selfie. I don't know. shopping, material possessions, more adrenochrome in the back. And this would be like the problem with America. Either people are on the death's door, starving themselves with nutrition to fit some kind of image, or they're obese. There is no happy medium. What is this? Bunch of meat. What is that about? Wait, hold on. Let's go back. I want to break that. Okay, so rabbits and dogs. Obviously, there's some kind of meat locker. But who's this lady? What is that about? I don't know. She's smoking. Oh. Those are all rabbits, though. What is that about? She's like smoking a bloody rabbit. Oh, got it. Okay, so this would be like the makeup industry, right? Because they experiment on all these animals. So there's all this animal sacrifice going on, and it's for beauty, right? That's what this is. Wow, this is deep, right? She got her face all pumped up with Botox. Look at this, all these needles. There's a mascara. Yeah, that's what this is. Mascara, makeup, and all of that happens through animal experimentation. All right? So that's, in essence, what she's doing. Wow, it's pretty deep. Fashion. I've got to have different clothes to feel happy. Of course, that's one-eyed symbolism. And the mask is breaking, but what's underneath? And this is like more worship of idols, gossip, maybe. This is why people feel so lost, because they want to fit in. They want to measure up to whatever image that they're programmed to measure up to. This, of course, road rage or steroids. Old children. Look at me. That's what this is about. Me. Look at my tattoos. Look at my image that I've created that matches the meme that's already out there. Spotlight's on me. Okay. Wow. Fractured. Look at me. These are pigs in cages. Okay, that would be the children, right? This is the way they look at them. Remember the pig farm in Despicable Me? Remember we covered that? Matched it up with Egg Stain and Trump. Those are more cages. Chickens in cages, it looks like. Which, again, stands for children. And they're eating those chickens. This is what they do. That's not a chicken. That's something else. There's an apple. The fruit. Okay, because children are fruit. Remember? We determined that. The fruit of the womb. We found over and over again them depicting children as fruit in a lot of these films going back decades. Okay. And they're harvesting them for youth. Now, we've seen this play out over and over again. Pharmaceuticals, of course. Now they've got these vampire facials, and they're out in the open with it. Young blood, blood transfusions. Okay, they're basically, there's that Masonic handshake there. More pills, pharmaceutical industry. They're basically right in our faces with it. They're trying to slowly precondition people to accept it. One day, we're going to get to the point where literally people are just have children hooked up to IVs and are drawing blood directly out of them. That's where all this is headed. What's this? Okay, so the few men have all the power for fame and money, and people worship them, right? They've got mad scientists locked in cellars and basements, and they're giving them money to create our reality, to create more pharmaceuticals so that they can control us even further. More Masonic handshakes. That guy's doing the hand job, I guess you could call it. Hand in each other's pockets, maybe. That's exactly what's happening. There's the NASDAQ, the stock market. I should have probably given you guys a warning. Even though this is an animation, can be a very troubling. Oh, hey, look, there's Janus, the two-faced god. Wow, we were just talking about that. We did like 4 shows on that. There's Janus, the two-faced god, taking money, paying off that would look like the law enforcement. That would be a mercenary. That would be is that a wall? Like a border wall? And giving money to the seniors in the form of Social Security. I don't know. Let's let this play out. That might be no, I don't know. Maybe that's a border wall. I don't know. Maybe not. We're about halfway through this. Okay, drugs, obviously. Drug use. And the CIA, they're all behind that. We all know that now. That's part of it. They're the ones who are doing the supplying. Why? Because it incapacitates a huge portion of humanity, of our society, that basically gets removed from the game, right? It gets removed from any kind of resistance that could happen. There are gallows in the background here. People hanging as they launder money. They're all in on it. Laundering money. All that money laundering going on. Now, if you haven't figured it out by now, these people just print money. That's what they do. How do you think Trump was able to give out $6 trillion? The biggest expenditure of any. He outdid the Democrats. When will people wake up? Trump has outdone Obama and his spending that Obama did in 2 terms. Trump already did it in 1 term. And if you're saying that it was necessary because of the CV, then you're still asleep, because the whole thing is fake. You don't shut down the entire economy for less than 1% mortality rate. You just don't. And he let that happen on his watch. Should have stood his ground and said, we're not closing anything. The seniors, if they want to be quarantined, or the people most at risk, they can go do that. But let the economy run, and we'll try to protect the people who fall ill with it the best we can. You don't shut down an entire economy for less than 1% of the population. That's slow suicide. And everybody knows it, and the Republicans know it too, and the Democrats know it. But my fellow right-leaning people are asleep under the Trump lie, which is exactly what it is. So look at this note here, this dollar bill, because this is important. Okay, they dangle the dollar bill as a carrot in front of our faces, but you can never get to it because it's designed for you never to get to it. They tell you to buy a house. I remember I bought my first house. They said, you want all the house you can get. Spend as much money as you can. Why? Because it's a good investment. It was the lamest investment I ever invested in. Because why? Because life changes. Life changes every 5 years. Your life will be completely different than it was 5 years before. You could go through a divorce. You could go through a breakup. You could lose your job. You could get sick. There are 100 things that could happen to you where you're not going to be able to pay that mortgage. What happens to your investment? Well, if you're lucky, the market's up and you can sell it. And even then, who gets paid? The bank gets paid, the real estate agent gets paid, and they're just shaving money off the top. Are you getting paid? You'll be lucky if you walk away with a couple, 10, 20, 30, 40 grand, if you're lucky. Most people take a loss. The bank gets it. I know, because I owned 2 houses before in my previous life. And each time I got shafted. So that's why they got this infinity symbol on this dollar, and they got shackles on here, because that's exactly what this is. Your best bet is if you have to use money, pay off with cash a very low tax base investment property. Very low tax base. To where you're only paying $50 a year, $100 a year. What is this? Oh, the dead fish because of all the plastic, I guess. And then it's yours. You don't have to worry about a bank. You pay your $50 or $100 a year in taxes and you're done. These would be the Native Americans, I think. And they've barged into their rainforest and all that to create all this. Prisons. But very few people do that, because the minute you start looking at properties, you're like, ooh, well, if I can get that, well, then maybe I can get this. If I can get this, then maybe I can get that. Oh, okay, let's just get a mortgage. Oh, it's super low. It's only $800 a month. It's a ripoff. You're going to pay for that house 2, 3, 4 times over before you're done with 30 years of those payments. It's the worst investment you can ever make. So obviously this is some kind of collaboration with, I don't know what that was, that guy, Native American, African, and we're all still shackles and we're all still slaves. We're all still slaves. This would be like the projects. Ooh, there's some iPet goat imagery there with they're in the crates, right? In the beginning of iPet goat with the barbed wire. And what is falling on top of them? Let's take a look here. Guns, drugs. They're pouring it into these communities to continue the evil. This is your drug dealer glorified in the rap community. Why on God's earth would they ever let a person like this become famous? Guns, gold, and drugs. It's because they want them to be famous to continue the paradigm lie. To continue black people striving towards this. Look at, they've got the... And it's basically saying they're no different than the slaves were. Because you see the slaves in the background. Here. Alright, let's keep going with this. And it's all just fake. People like Beyonce and Jay-Z are sellouts. Okay? Beyonce teaches young girls to wear skinny pants and hot shorts, and that is the epitome of beauty. And Jay-Z continues the lie of gold and hip-hop clothes and guns. I don't know how many guns he's doing lately, but he started out that way. And here's the Zulu Nation looking at this guy like he's a nut job. Because he is. Now, as a black man, I even recognize what's going on. A lot of black people won't admit to this. They still see these people as having made it. And they admire these people when they're destroying our people with their role models. What is this? They're pouring something here. Pouring, I don't know. You guys are choking each other. Who are these people? But no one speaks, right? No one talks about this stuff. Why won't anyone talk about it? Because everyone's controlling everybody. No one wants to be different. All on puppet strings. This is how they have us. They've created a construct of complete and total domination and control. And none of us can escape it. Unless you're awake. But then it seems insurmountable. Your ability to make any change in this world. To snap people out of it. Now, this is crazy. Obviously, that would be a pizza on a hot dog, right? So the animator of this knew exactly what was going on, that all of this is built on the dead. Do you know we're at 58 million dead since Roe v. Wade? Did you know that? We're going to have to pay a price for that. Every president that's gone, come and gone, is part of that. Every single one. They'll make excuses as to why it can't change, but at the end of the day, our entire society is based on the dead of the innocent. Look, they've got the artwork that was in the Podestas with these children being with the red bottoms and stuff and red feet, and it's right here hiding in plain sight. They're all blind. They're all blind, listening to the president on a string. And it's just a new puppet, same brain. New puppet, same brain. And you know what that is. But look at, let's rewind that. Red versus blue, but they're both getting it in the rear. But it's red versus blue, and we keep believing the right-left paradigm. We keep believing the lie as they control all of humanity. Ooh, those are some fallen angels in the background in the clouds. Did you see that? I don't know if anybody caught that. See the clouds back there? They're fallen angels. The spirit of the fallen angels is what controls all of this. And everybody's blind. They're laughing at the blind. All blindfolded. And the children are the real victims, as you can see. But nobody ever tells. Nobody ever tells. The parents don't want to hear it. In fact, many of the parents sell these children into this, either unknowingly or they actually do know, but they'd much rather have the money. There's a puppet. It's got the drugs and guns. Sock puppet. The parents are oblivious, just laying in bed on their devices as the world encroaches in around them. It's like a coffin. We're all in our coffins. We're all 1 foot in the grave. Coffins are shaped like cubes. I did a video on that. Coffins are shaped like cubes. We're all in our paradigm and our construct. We're all living in our meme. Those are the newscasters that we're told to believe. And alternative media is shamed, made fun of, discredited, while the real liars are the mainstream media. Here's all of us stacked in our stacking packs, right? While they have all the room in the world and they harvest all of our energy, their black hearts, while we're in our stacking packs. And they're the ones causing all of the destruction of Earth, and they blame us. And there's your beast ribs. Remember the ribs that we did? 2, 3, and 7 ribs is what you have. You have true ribs, false ribs, and floating ribs, 2, 3, and 7. That's the beast. That's why you have the beast in room 237 in the film The Shining. And there's a cage there. The cage. We're almost through this, you guys. I know this is heavy stuff, but this is stuff you need to understand. We're imprisoned by our masks. This could be the globe earth lie. It's also a disco globe. And of course, the superpowers of the world with their guns aimed at each other, but it's all fake because they're all on the same platform controlling all of us. This is a really iconic image here because it's very true. You got the impression, you've got the lie that there is one versus the other, but they're really all standing on top of the same flat earth. Oh wow, that's what that is. I don't think anyone probably caught that. So here's our flat earth convex. Whoa, convex lens. Look at the lenses of the shields they're holding. So there's some confirmation there of what it really is. I believe it's this convex lens, and we kept saying that over and over again since 2013. And you've got these soldiers carrying their see-through lens shields, right? And this is like our Earth right here. This is what it really is. And then you got the flat earthers versus the globe, but really it's somewhere in the middle. Okay, water still remains flat because it finds places to settle on this lens here. You have higher mountains in the middle. The oceans are settling in these flat areas. This is pretty amazing. Globe versus flat. And this is the construct. Very good image there. So here, of course, one more thing that just popped into my head is you've got, here are the enforcers, right? And this is they are in the middle because you've got the powers that be, you've got the enforcers in the middle, and then all of us beneath, flattened. See that? So as long as they keep paying the enforcers, the cops, the local authorities, the National Guard, they will continue. That is their arm that continues to keep us under control. Wow. So as this kind of winds up, hopefully this all came through in the broadcast. I don't know if I could do this over again. Cube, all controlled by the cube and the pineal gland on the front of his head. And this guy is just a family guy, but he's still an enforcer. His house of cards falls down because it's just a house of cards. You don't own your car, you don't own your house. Nobody does anymore. What is that? The building's crumbling. Some kind of catastrophe. Free fall. The masks split open. But when it falls, when the construct falls, you don't even know who you are anymore because your identity is so closely linked into the construct. This could be the MP. This could be wiping away of all things electronic, which would throw the world in chaos, right? Because people would all lose their identities, and then all of a sudden, those are like fall colors there. And then that would create the chaos that they would need, because once you don't have internet for 3 or 4 days, you'd be shocked. People will lose their minds. I won't, because my foundation is on the rock, not on sinking sand. But many people will, because they don't have a foundation. They'll simply go crazy. They'll turn into zombies once they don't have their entertainment and everything. We saw it kind of happen with all this quarantine stuff. You know, they played some little tricks on people. They separated us socially, and that already made some people lose their minds. But you think that's bad, you just wait until they black everything out. And you better be ready, because it's not going to be pretty. So obviously that would be like suicide right there. Everyone's naked. We have no more clothes. We'll feel naked. And you'll be left to just sit with your sins and how you've been deceived. You'll be left with the lie, but by that point it will be too late, because the powers that be will have already achieved their mechanism of control. Even if you come to a realization at this point that there's many other things that you could have done to prevent this from happening, it will be too late. But I think at that time of despair is probably when Jesus will come back. Can't imagine he'd let us go through this for very long. And here's some really dark imagery at the end. There's the pineal right there. Whoa. Whoa. Boom. Skull open, brain open, pineal gland. Full of darkness. Christ said the eye is the lamp of the body. It says it right in the Bible. All you gotta do is open it. He said if your eye is single, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is dark, your whole body will be full of darkness. He was talking about your antenna to him. Either you're full of the Holy Spirit and of God and love, or you're full of darkness. Those are the two options. Unless you let him into your heart, you will. The default is darkness, is what you're seeing right here. And it's a very scary place to be. God lives in your temple, but only if you allow him to. It's all free will. More 237 beast references. The ribs. And either you're going to let Christ into your heart. Now, some of this looks a little new agey. I'm not into new age at all whatsoever. But if you wanted to look at the metaphor for this, this would be Christ coming into your heart. Okay, that's the way I'm going to choose to look at this. Whoa, that would be like the crucifixion, maybe. Christ in the middle between the two thieves. All right. And we're not going to be going up anywhere. Christ is going to come here, meet us. He's going to return just the way he left. We don't have to go anywhere. Don't go here nor there. If they say, it says in the Bible, if they say go here or there to find Christ, do not go. Okay? So this would be some deception linked into this. That would be like the phoenix rising up from the ashes. See, they're depicting some kind of ascension stuff going on here, and that's just not that's not what the Bible teaches. Okay, you don't ascend. He comes here. You just have to have faith and allow the Holy Spirit into you. So be careful with this part. Okay, that looks like some. That looks like some Arnold Schwarzenegger-esque type of Conan the Barbarian imagery there. Okay, so this is some deception here too. All of humanity is one. This is what they want you to think, right? This is your universal consciousness. You got to be careful with this, okay? Because that's not what's going on. And then we all are reborn, maybe? That's what they're trying to depict in the tree of life. All right, so I do not concur with the imagery here, and that look, they're trying to relate it all back to chakras and all that apparently. So there is deception out there when it comes to the pineal gland, as well as why you have to be very careful. You can't do this on your own. You only do it with Jesus, and you don't go anywhere. You're waiting for his love and his power. And he is the Savior. He is who saves you. Notice the baby and the eye reference again juxtaposed, which is everything we talked about, right? The child in the womb is a metaphor for the inner anatomy of the eye. It's just what it is. Vitreous humor of the inner eye is where the amniotic fluid is. Child is inverted upside down in the womb before birth. The vision in your eye comes in upside down. The placenta is the retina. The iris is the cervix. We're born into sin. Nothing to rejoice about that. This is what we're born into. There's only one way out, and that is through the cross. The crossing optic nerves at the center of your brain. This is all metaphor for what really happened, which is Christ came to earth. He died for us. He was resurrected in 3 days. If you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, you will be saved. Not all this New Age stuff. So that pretty much, I guess, concludes the decode. Now all we have to do is see if this actually came through to you guys. We're going to go in the chat here. See if we're still live. I'm not going to really do a question and answer because I think this pretty much spoke for itself. Looks like we had a lot of people show up to the live show today. Leave your comments in the comment section, and I'll do my best to try to answer any questions. I'll pin a link to this video in the pinned comment. I love each and every one of you. Take care and be safe, you guys.